DW's Wendy Bashi is DW's bureau chief in Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And she told me what action the city is taking.
In Kinshasa, we doesn't have any case for the moment, so we remain very cautious, and we still respect the preventive measure. And this is how we are dealing for the moment, since they have announced this new Ebola outbreak here in DRC.
What are these preventive measures? What are you following?
We are following the preventive measure, like to wash our hands most of the time that we greet people. We need the sanitizer. We also limit, in French we say geste barrière, so we have a limitation of hugging people, giving the hands, and we have some distances like we had during the COVID time. We still have the same measure here in Kinshasa.
Right, that sounds very familiar. Now, unfortunately, there have been reports about arson attacks on Ebola treatment centers. Now, that's not helpful when you try to help people. What triggers those attacks?
So, if I can say, since Thursday, we had actually 3 attacks. One was in Rwampara, the other one was in Mungwalu, actually in the Ituri, where the Ebola started. And the other one, the recent one, was in Butembo, in North Kivu. When you discuss with the healthcare worker, they will tell you that there is a lack of communication between them and the people that have difficulties to accept that the member of the family, the beloved one, died with Ebola. Some of the people say that Ebola doesn't exist. They don't believe in Ebola, and so they don't understand why the healthcare people want to make the safe burial. So when we discuss with the people, with the communities, and even with the civil societies, this is what they are telling us. Some of them, they don't trust in the existence of the virus.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that particular turn of events. I was listening a little bit. I said I wasn't sure if I missed when she hinted at the report that they were facilities that were burned. I was like, okay, what? Maybe I missed. And I'm glad they clarified what was the reason or the cause behind it. I got that it was done allegedly by the citizens. But then the question is, well, if you're helping the citizens, why would the citizens of all people be the ones doing it? But if this is one of those things where they believe it's a conspiracy, okay, this makes a lot more sense. And for those who are watching who might say, well, this is silly, people in DRC, or maybe they're back. No. Look, this is something that is much deeper than whatever your negative kind of your mindset is with respect to countries different from your own backyard, right? And that is the fact that people tend to not, especially unfortunately, if you see how the media has been a lot lately, it has caused a lot of distrust in the people, and that has definitely been a push of being distrustful of the government. And that's not obviously just a DRC thing. Okay, that's been a global trend for a while. There's a strong distrust in government. I'm not here to, once again, get political, but you have to understand politics is a part of life. And I'm sure for those who've been engaged in some form of politics, especially within the last decade or so, definitely that theme of distrust in government or trying to understand what's going on is a big one. Distrust in authority and things like that. And that's crucial, especially trying to gain the trust of the people you're trying to help during a time of crisis such as this. And it's unfortunate, it's sad there has to be another variable to dealing with an already chaotic situation. I mean, as you can see, as it stopped here, it wasn't intentional, but it's a outbreak in a war zone. There's a lot. There's a lot. You don't need to fight a disease, then fight funding and ways get the disease done. Because, there's always that side of the conversation to some degree, let alone fight the people or the potential unfortunate patients that you're trying to get help for. So that's just across the board, all the way bad. Yeah, so this is the first little bit of news here. We're going to look at another video that speaks a little bit more about what is going on over there. And first and foremost, my condolences, obviously, to those suffering, the families, loved ones, the medical personnel, just everyone involved trying to deal with this, and hopefully this can be dealt with quickly. Like I said, I'm watching these videos, giving about a breath of a month. So there hopefully is new update information, and hopefully more positive news. Maybe the number isn't as high as fatalities. Maybe they got a hold on it. I do not know. That's me just being hopeful. So I'm going to continue to push this forward in the segment. If you like this news segment so far, despite the news, obviously, hopefully you will continue to join me on finding out more about what is going on in this side of the world. Okay there, ladies and gentlemen. So we are moving forward on the conversation. What's going on in the DRC? For those who don't know, there is an Ebola outbreak. Unfortunately, it has claimed the lives of, I believe, from one report that we were just looking over in the last video, one source was saying up to 200 people were victims or fell victim to this disease. Or maybe that news source might have gotten numbers skewed in some type of way, but we're here to get a little bit more understanding. Now on my second source here to see what this is France 24 English. That says Ebola Treatment Center in DR Congo burnt down as anger grows. So another thing was that people were committing arson, not believing that this was an actual issue, not believing that this disease is a problem. That was one part of it. Then we also have some issues with the policies on gathering. So if y'all remember the whole dreaded social distancing and things of that nature, well, that obviously for this very contagious illness, they are definitely implementing that there in real time as well. So let's see what this source says from the last one. This one is around 15 minutes. I'm just not going to watch the whole thing, but just kind of see if I get a little bit more leadway. And also for us to, because this was a month ago from the date of this video, get some up-to-date information on what is going on, and hopefully the news isn't so somber. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this discussion.
Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, an Ebola treatment centre in a town at the heart of the outbreak in DR Congo is torched by scared and frustrated locals in the midst of a health crisis that's claimed at least 159 lives so far and continues to spread. Also, computer science researchers find that data workers from Africa are suffering some of the worst mental health effects of the industry. Many are unsupported as they intercept the gore, rage and tragedy that no one else wants or should see. I speak to one of the report's authors. And in one of South Africa's largest townships, the cookie is crumbling just right. We take a peek inside the oven of a small bakery, helping the job market, particularly for women, rise. But first, communities on the front line of DR Congo's Ebola outbreak are increasingly feeling the strain. With at least 159 people known to have died so far, many cases are in Ituri province, in areas torn between a conflict between the army and M23 militants. Now, managing the spread has also been made difficult by tensions within communities. On Thursday, a treatment centre in the town of Rampoa was torched by angry relatives of a victim of the disease after they were stopped from retrieving his body. Health workers are, across the board, facing an uphill battle to contain both the outbreak and the fear that it causes.
Megaphone in hand, this community activist is marching through Goma, trying to raise awareness about preventative measures to take against Ebola.
We have to wash our hands because this is a disease that's transmitted through physical contact.
Goma is on high alert. One confirmed case of Ebola has already been reported in the city. With about 2 million residents, there's an urgent need to stop the virus from spreading.
Oh, man. This is, I tell you, in an age of very limited... Well, here's the thing. When I say limited information, because that's what I was about to say, I pause because I'm like, somebody might listen and say limited. We have the most we're in the most informative age probably in human history. I mean, information is at your fingertips, right? So why would this be, a limited form of information? Correct information, right information. You get me? People have a whole lot of information, but the question is, what's the difference between information and gossip, right? There should be a difference, but let the locals, and when I say locals, I'm not picking on anyone. First and foremost, I'm not picking on any citizen who's already dealing with enough here in the Congo. Okay, no citizen in DRC. I'm not picking on anyone when I say this. This is an issue, and I've spoken on this just prior from the last video that we watched on this. This is an issue of global size. When it comes to distrust in the government, when it comes to receiving correct information, a lot of that has to do with the government and why inversely people have a lot of distrust in the government. So when it comes to getting the right information, people are getting information, but most of the time it's something totally different. Okay, totally different from the truth. Okay, and fortunately, this seems to be one of the biggest struggles they have going on right now. I mean, people are burning down the very facilities that are out to help them. Now, unless there's something else going on, all right, and I'm not saying there is, but unless there's something else going on that we, the viewers of this news, do not know, that those on the ground do know, that there is a grand conspiracy, and they're just claiming that there's an Ebola outbreak, and that's just some kind of way they can lock everybody in. You get me? I think this is one of the reasons why COVID was so dangerous. It wasn't just the many people who died. It wasn't just the many people who lost their jobs. Many people who have ended up with horrible health consequences due to all of the circumstances that happened, with as a result of COVID. It was just how, if anything that looks like it were to happen again in the future, because personally, I just think I'll speak, I say personally, right? Hey, look, we gonna be for the people here. All right. If you don't know now, we for the people. It's in our name, folks. I gotta be honest. The people in charge did a horrible job with dealing with it. Okay. I don't even think what I said is even controversy. It's not controversial, right? The people who dealt with, who managed, who was supposed to keep us safe, to keep the sovereignty and the brilliance and everything that makes a nation across the world, any nation, whether it be France, Nigeria, Peru, Canada, it doesn't matter. That was supposed to be for the people, to keep everyone on one accord, to get the information out. They dropped the ball. It was awful. Horrible display of leadership, right? And because of it, now you have a people, and I'm not saying that's I'm just saying in general, this concept of if anything that looks like this were to come about and people start having deja vu about what happened back in 2020, oh yeah, I guarantee you, and it ain't a bet I want to make, by the way. It's one that I'm pretty sure I would get right, that people are more than likely not going to be very receptive. They're not going to just jump up and follow these directions. They're going to be suspicious, skeptical at the least. And that is the worst thing if a disease or a circumstance of outbreak and illness is real. Because if it is, well, how you going to get people to believe you? That is before it's too late, right? So this is horrible, man. I don't even know really what to think about this. In a nutshell, like I said, I'm just reporting on this. My first time really, listen to it. I wanted to wait, let the dust settle. So we're gonna get a little bit more updated information on this after we finish watching this particular source. But yeah, man, this is tough. So a lot of people say they want to lead, but hey, wanting to lead and leading effectively is two completely different things.
At this university, temperature checks and regular hand washing have become mandatory.
Health measures must be enforced because there's no vaccine for this epidemic yet. So if we don't follow preventative measures, many people are at risk of dying.
The fight against Ebola is also underway more than 2,600 kilometers away in this laboratory in the capital, Kinshasa. Every day, capsules like these arrive from the eastern part of the country. These ones contain samples that have tested positive for Ebola.
Here we have some samples. There are 6 positive cases.
For several weeks, researchers have been performing sequencing. This is a crucial step in tracing the origin of the outbreak and in attempting to break the virus's chain of transmission.
Sequencing will enable us not only to understand the origin of the outbreak, but also to link the different patients and determine how they infected one another.
While scientists are hard at work in labs, responders are organizing a grand campaign against Ebola. In this warehouse in Kinshasa, humanitarian teams are preparing to send medical supplies to the east of the country.
We're currently preparing the shipment that's due to leave tomorrow. Another shipment will leave after that. We have 8 tons of equipment, medicines and temporary infrastructure. So there you go.
The boxes are full of masks, protection suits and medicines. This equipment is expected to arrive in Ituri province, the epicenter of the new Ebola outbreak, within 24 hours.
This is the People United Podcast. We are...